Back again with World Crisis Radio. So we're exploring this difference between the super rich lifestyle of the rich and famous enjoyed by the Koch brothers, who own the Tea Party. They run it, they fund it, they micromanage it. They control all of this through a network of foundations and entities, dupes, and above all, paid operatives. Think of the difference between their actual values that they show in their lives and the cultural populism, cut-your-own-throat line that they like to feed to others. I wonder, when David Koch meets Walter Shipley, the former head of Chemical Bank Chase Manhattan, at the board of the American Museum, or when he hobnobs with Roger Altman or with Gansey, one of the heads of Hearst Corporation, how does he talk about his Tea Party dupes and suckers and gulls when he meets for cocktails, when he has them for the fireworks display down at Villa El Sarmiento in Palm Beach? What does he say about you, saying this rabble? And again, the sample we have is that one of the family advisors says, this right-wing redneck Yahoo stuff works for them. Now, that's the ideology. The stuff that they care about is they don't want to be regulated and they don't want to be taxed, and you can go and die. As Glenn Beck says, fat people should die, right? Obesity is an epidemic, but Glenn Beck wants all these people to be gotten rid of. Now, of course, the center of their operation, the Cato Institute, he's a co-founder, right? The Koch family are co-founders. Between 1986 and 1993, $11 million given to the Cato Foundation. Lots of money also given to the Heritage Foundation, American Enterprise Institute. Not so clear. Let's also point out that the family fortune founded by Fred Koch, a lot of his money from the Soviet Union under Stalin, Rock Island Oil and Refining, and Fred Koch, big funder of the John Birch Society, back when this was a joke, and it deserves to be a joke, loved Mussolini, hated Martin Luther King. But now they're not in public loving Mussolini anymore. They're libertarians, of course. The Lewis Powell Memorandum of 1971, taken to heart by these guys, saying you no longer really have communists to fight, but you have leftists in the form of progressive intellectuals, writers, scientists, professors, and go after them. So, Citizens for a Sound Economy. The Mercatus Center at George Mason University. This is actually interesting. George Mason University, in theory, a part of the university system of the state of Virginia, but actually taken over by these neo-feudal predators with $30 million of funding for their think tank on deregulation and the rest of this stuff. George W. Bush declared war on 23 federal regulations when he got into power. 14 of them had been dictated by the Mercatus Center and by the Koches through these stenographers with academic titles. The common denominator of all their operations, micromanagement of everything. They dictate everything. They will not pay unless they control everything. Let's see. They get praise from Grover Norquist of the Americans for Tax Reform, ultra-reactionary. He's, of course, got that Wednesday meeting that still goes on. But their values are they want to be on the board of the Metropolitan Opera, on the board of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, on the board of Sloan Kettering. Their social climbing stuff, at least David's social climbing stuff, is simply overwhelming. And, of course, his wife, he's got a trophy wife, Julia Fletcher Koch. Julia Fletcher Koch. In the 1980s, the poor girl had to work for Adolfo. Adolfo being a cheaper imitation of Coco Chanel, $200 a week as a fashion assistant at Adolfo. But she got to dress Nancy Reagan in Adolfo fashions, and then soon, when David gave $3 million to the Metropolitan Opera, she got to be at the gala. They then moved into a duplex apartment on Park Avenue that used to be owned by Jackie Onassis, that they don't agree with, but they took it over. Now they've got something bigger. They did the tribute to Versace. So in other words, what you see is the parvenu, the bombastic, overexpending, ostentatious, conspicuous consumption. So we've gone from society controlled by Brooke Astor to the Nouvelle Société of 1980s. This was Susan Gutfreund, was the wife of Gutfreund, was the head of Salomon Brothers at the time. Carolyn Rome, I think the wife of Kohlberg Kravis Roberts of Kravis. The Miller girls in the 1980s, one married to a Greek prince, one married to Princess von Furstenberg's son, another married to a Getty. But we're told by the New York Times 10 years ago, Julia Koch is a candidate to become a leading fin de siècle society wife. Betsy Bloomingdale thinks that she's wonderful. She got a great catch. So Mrs. David H. Koch of New York, Southampton, and Aspen, Colorado, as well as Palm Beach, I think. Now, he got 4 addresses, not just 3. They were part of the committee for the 150th anniversary for the founding of Central Park. They were hobnobbing with Daisy and Paul Soros. They were hobnobbing with Bloomberg. Get the idea. How does he talk about his dupes when he's at the board of the Metropolitan Opera, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, with the Soroses, the Shipleys, the various other oligarchical types? This is now the situation. So these people have now, through their fantastic wealth, asserted control of the Tea Party. Let's just look a little bit further into the life of Madame Koch. What does she look like? It's always a matter of lifestyles of the rich and famous. Here's a description by Hamish Bowles, an editor of Vogue. So when he talks to Mrs. Koch, right, the former Julia Flesher from Iowa, she's come a long way. She's wearing a perfectly simple bark-textured crème de marron V-necked sleeveless dress from her favorite designer, Richard Tyler, with a La Lune necklace of golden links and carnelian intaglios that had belonged to her late mother-in-law, toffee lizard high-heeled sandals from Manolo Blahnik, and a Hermes pigskin Kelly bag, the color and texture of a digestive biscuit. And when she comes, the courtship, of course, took place at Le Club, all these different places, the watering holes in New York, where he courted her, and of course she had to fight because he was a confirmed bachelor and playboy. She didn't like the fact that at some of David's parties he had these playboy bunny types around. He liked that. He liked to think he was Hugh Hefner, but now he's settled down under the influence of Julia. So she's now part of the work for the charity balls in New York. Over lunch at Coco Pazzo on the Upper East Side, attended also by Ken Sunshine, a public relations consultant for Koch Industries, Julia Koch is polite, circumspect, and difficult to read. And, of course, at 9 p.m., she picks up her husband at his Midtown office with the car and driver, the servants. Then they repair to a restaurant like Elio's, the Upper East Side haunt. So we go through all of these wonderful, glamorous places in New York. They've got 3 foundations. They've got Koch Pack. They own the Tea Party. And look at their lifestyle. Cultural populism is a fraud. We'll be back in a minute.